people started reaching out to us to actually invest in real estate out of state as well. And they were like, hey, we want to invest in Memphis, Tennessee. How do we get started? How can we, buy these properties? I don't want to do all the work. I just want to buy it for the cash flow. And so we actually started selling properties in our portfolio. I made a little website called Martel Family Realty, started selling properties on that website to friends and family. And that's kind of how the turnkey business started.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. And today we have Antoine Martel. Antoine is a real estate investor and founder of Martel Turnkey, a rental turnkey company specializing in the Memphis, Tennessee, and Cleveland, Ohio markets. He's also the author of A Millennial's Guide to Investing in Cash Flowing Rental Properties. Antoine, thanks for joining us on the show, and how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking about this particular subject. But before we kick things off, would you mind going about your background story and how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, sure. So it was I was a junior in college. My brother took me and my dad to a real estate investing seminar. Learned about flipping houses, buying cash flowing rental properties, commercial development, all that kind of stuff in this tight little weekend, wholesaling. And learned about all these things in this weekend. It was like a 3-day kind of boot camp kind of thing. And from that, I was like kind of addicted to real estate. I was like, I need to figure this out. I don't want to graduate and get a job and work for somebody else. I want to figure out this real estate investing thing. And so kind of just every single day after that, I was just like listening to podcasts, reading books, networking with people about real estate investing, what they were doing, how they were doing it, and how they were able to get into their first deal. I didn't have any money. My dad had 40 grand, and I tried to flip houses in California, San Francisco, and in LA, and eventually that just never ended up working. I just didn't have enough cash or enough people that I knew on the ground here to be able to make that happen. So started networking, found out that there was this thing called out-of-state investing, and you can invest and cross the country without ever seeing stuff. And I was like, no way, that's crazy. And how do you build a team out of state? How do you learn the markets? How do you choose a market? And so started networking and learning about that. A couple months before graduating, my kind of last semester of university, I built a team out of state in Memphis, Tennessee, made a bunch of offers on a bunch of houses, cold called 200 agents, made a bunch of offers, and finally got a house under contract. Ended up closing on that property, bought it for 35 grand, renovated for 5 grand, and then did a cash out refinance. So like a typical kind of BRRRR strategy on the property. And then pulled the money back out, went back to my dad and said, hey, here's your 40 grand back. Like, this is what, we did, et cetera. I can keep doing this after I graduate college. Just let me, we have a system here. I can keep doing this with your 40 grand and keep turning it into more and more properties. And so he agreed to it. I was like, just, give me till the end of the year. So graduated in May. I was like, and give me till the end of the year. And so by December, we had like 8 to 10 single family homes in Memphis, all cash flowing, all with loans on them, all positive cash flow. And from there, the $40,000 that we had kind of dried up. There was no money left to get into more projects. And I was like, oh man, I have this whole team on the ground. I might as well put them to work, have this whole system in place, have a way to find deals, to manage them, to renovate them, et cetera, to rent them out. And people started reaching out to us to actually invest in real estate out of state as well. And they were like, hey, we want to invest in Memphis, Tennessee. How do we get started? How can we, buy these properties? I don't want to do all the work. I just want to buy it for the cash flow. And so we actually started selling properties in our portfolio. I made a little website called Martel Family Realty, started selling properties on that website to friends and family. And that's kind of how the turnkey business started. So then we were like, oh, wow, there's a real business here where we can buy properties, renovate them, rent them out, and then resell them to friends and family and beyond. And that's kind of scaled up. Now it's called Martel Turnkey, like you said in the beginning. And we're doing 10 to 15 homes a month in Memphis and Cleveland.
Wow. Yeah, that's very impressive. One thing that kind of caught my attention early on was like your father brought you to the RIA to learn about all of this, strategies. Typically, I'm interviewing guys where they had to like figure everything out by themselves because their family or friends are like, no, don't do that real estate stuff. Go get a regular job like everybody else.
Yeah.
But he had that insight to say, this is what the path is, and you figured it out and got that ambition to take it to the next level, even grow this large business. And the
Yep.
other thing that you mentioned is investing outside of your marketplace. Everyone knows kind of California is kind of tough to do deals there with the price per unit and kind of making things work, and going to these Midwest markets where there's tremendous amount of value there. So that's even more impressive as well.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, both my parents are very entrepreneurial. They never wanted me to go and work for somebody else. They always pressured me to go do my own thing and to work for myself. So, yeah, I mean, they were definitely factors in making it happen. And also, I mean, they let me not go to college, graduate, and then not even use, like go and start doing burr projects in Memphis, right? So they didn't tell me to go and get a job or, oh no, you need to go work for somebody or do this kind of thing. They knew that, running your own business was way more beneficial than, working for somebody else and having a 9-to-5.
Absolutely. And what kind of was your process of finding the submarkets in? I know, Memphis and Columbus are some, really large growth markets, but what was kind of your decision to find the submarkets to invest in? What was that part of that criteria?
So markets to invest in, like a general view or a macro view, is kind of like the population growth, job growth, looking at the major employers, looking at the diversity of the workforce, looking at the population of the market, and then looking at also like driving factors I think that market's going to go up in value over time and what companies are moving into the market. So you can do a lot of research about that. There's like normally these economic development committees in these major metros, and they actually help businesses move into the markets, and they give them tax credits and all this kind of stuff. Like Amazon moved into Cleveland, they got 30 years tax free, and so they'd never have to pay taxes for the next 30 years kind of thing. So looking for those kinds of things in these different markets in your investing and doing the research is very important. There's no one direct website to do all this data work, but also just the research. So it is very time consuming to find out the right market. And then even more so when you go into the micro markets within that metro or that MSA, then, okay, I know I want to be in Memphis, but now where in Memphis? Where is Amazon building? Where are the jobs? Memphis International Airport, second largest cargo airport in the world. Not very many people know that, but FedEx headquarters is there, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, cool. Maybe I want to have some homes next to the Memphis International Airport. But is there high, and then checking the crime and all that kind of school systems and all that kind of stuff as well, which is all scattered on like, a dozen different websites, and you kind of have to put it all together in your head.
Exactly. What's kind of like a typical project for you guys? Are you guys more looking for something that's like a cosmetical, quick type of turnaround, or you guys will go for like a full gut rehab and kind of take that home project down?
Somewhere in between. Not like we don't just put lipstick on it, but we also don't really do full guts. Full guts just take way too long, and there's way too much in terms of permitting and city involvement that we found for some of our markets and neighborhoods. But also lipstick is not something we do either. It's somewhere in between. Because we are doing turnkey, we do some major CapEx items that maybe a normal rental property investor wouldn't do. We like to make our homes, a little bit nicer than the rest of the properties in the neighborhood to help us get tenants faster and tenants who are going to stay longer, and also tenants that actually want to live in that property for many years instead of just signing a 1-year lease.
Absolutely. And then kind of course, it's a more relevant topic because it was occurring during the pandemic. How have your business been adjusting and operating during kind of COVID to kind of keep consistent and meet the demands?
Yeah, we haven't had much setback due to COVID. There was a little bit of scare earlier in the year. Just people were thought real estate was going to crash in our markets. And, even here today, I don't think it's going to happen in our markets. I think some markets are going to get hit harder than others, but Memphis and Cleveland are two of the most affordable markets in the country, where the rents are even more affordable. You can rent out a full house for $900 a month. Even the $1,200 stimulus package, with two people living in the home, you could have, afforded and gotten by and paid all your bills with that $1,200 each. So I don't think it's going to happen in our markets. Luckily, the biggest risk for us was just construction being shut down due to like social distancing. Luckily, that didn't happen either. So all of our contractors were able to still go to work and still do the renovations on the properties. That's what we were most scared about.
Yeah, definitely. And you had kind of mentioned a lot of the characteristics that's very attractive for an investor to invest in these types of marketplaces. Where is kind of the cluster of your investors? Is it more kind of like California's, the New Yorks of the world? Where's your buyers are coming from?
Yeah, New York, New Jersey, and then the whole West Coast. That's mostly where our buyers are located geography.
Absolutely. And then kind of what's like a process for kind of the person that's looking for this type of investment to kind of get involved in it? What are some tips that they should be looking for when they choose a turnkey company?
Yeah. So most of our clients have 20 grand or more in the bank, credit score over 680, and then a W-2 or 1099 job for the last couple of years. So those are only 3 requirements. And then as long as your debt to income ratio is not all wacky, you'll be fine in terms of getting financing, getting a loan approved and all that kind of stuff. Because the loan amounts are very small, so you don't need that much of a margin in order to get approved for these loans. What was the question about the turn? What was the question again?
Kind of like the process, like what's their process of going through evaluating of working with the turnkey?
Oh, turnkey. That's right. So, there's a couple of things different between us and some of the other competitors out there. That's what I would watch out for. So the biggest one is probably just the difference between a turnkey provider and a turnkey broker. There's a lot of companies out there that are turnkey brokering. So that means they're taking like my houses and they're adding a $5,000 fee on it and selling it on their website. Where all the homes you see on our website are homes that we own, that we've renovated, that we know about, that we currently manage. We have tenants in place. It's all under our name. So I would just be very mindful of that when you're talking to a turnkey provider and versus a turnkey broker. Make sure you know what the difference is, because one of them you're going to have a lot of leverage with, the other one not so much, and they're not going to have all the answers to all of your questions. Something else too that when talking to a turnkey company is ask them, what if the property doesn't appraise? There's a lot of turnkey companies out there that will make you come up with a difference. So imagine you under contract for 100 grand on a house and it appraises for 80 grand. So the lender's only going to give you a loan on the 80 grand. You have to come up with the extra, and close on the property, and this turnkey company won't drop the price. So those are all red flags. You don't want that to happen. You want to buy these properties for their fair market value. If the appraiser is saying it's worth 80, I'm sure it's worth $80,000 if they're a good appraiser. And I would not put up the difference, because now your cash flow is going to be all weird. But some turnkey companies are going to be able to convince. I heard a lot of people just being convinced by the turnkey providers that, this is the way that things happen in real estate and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to happen that way. The third thing is making sure that all the properties you buy from the turnkey provider have a tenant in place already at closing. I know a lot of companies out there are selling these properties vacant, and then they give like, oh, it's going to rent out for $900 to $1,100 a month. And it's like, what the hell? Why such a big ass? You don't even know what your house is going to rent out for. That doesn't make any sense at all. You're supposed to be the expert, and you have this $300 gap in your rent. That makes no sense. So make sure the property's rented out for, so you know exactly what you're going to cash flow and what your cash flow is going to be at the end of the day. Because there's a lot of people just selling them vacant, and I don't know how they're getting away with it.
Yeah, that's kind of my going into my next point of like, it's a turnkey company, so people are expecting to make the investment and they have like a set mindset of, what's my return to be, not to go and, okay, they hand me the keys and I got to go find a tenant and go find a property manager. And by the way, I live in California. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. So I'm glad that your company kind of handles the whole thing from A to Z to kind of truly provide this, cash flowing asset.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we connect them with insurance, title company, property manager, and lender. So as soon as they sign the contract, we make all those introductions to all of those groups, and then they begin the process. So they send in their earnest money, they talk to property management company, get signed up there, and then talk to the lender and begin their financing process. So yeah, we help them with, and all those people are third party. We don't make a dime from them. It's just, it helps the deal go way smoother. They don't have to go searching around. It makes, the whole point of turnkey is that it's turnkey. So now if you're selling turnkey and they have to go do all this stuff on their own and find their own lender, insurance, you're making the job for this person for the next 30 days. That's the whole reason they're investing with you, is to not have to do all this work.
Absolutely. And one thing that's just kind of mentioned for the next question to kind of talk about your latest book is that, cash flow now, and specifically in today's market, is so important outside of kind of speculation where people are kind of, not sure where the direction of the market is, but you guys are going to be tapping into, cash flowing assets. Can you kind of talk about what's in your book and when can people expect for that to be released?
The book's released. It's on Amazon now. You can go and get it. You just search my name and the book's there. What's it about? It's really a process on how I chose my markets, built my team, who you need on your team, how to find deals, how to analyze deals, and then eventually how to scale it. So that's essentially what the book's going to walk you through, is really just from what I did out of state, and really just like all the different links to all the different websites you're going to need to go to in order to find the data, and then what data to look for, and then who to look for on your team, and then putting all those things together to actually build an actual business about it. It doesn't go much into the scaling side of it, which could be a whole other book, but it's really just like how to get started in out-of-state investing and do your first, second, third deal.
Awesome. And it's kind of like to learn a little bit more about you, because you live in California. Your business is in the Midwest. What's like a typical work day for you, and do you have any special morning routines?
Special morning routines? Not really. Maybe I need one, but I wake up around 7 to 8 a.m., make a coffee, have something to eat, and then just get started, which means just sitting here on this desk and doing emails. And typical work day is probably just from 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. or sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later. It really depends on how busy the day is. And especially these podcasts too. I mean, you have 2 or 3 of these podcasts, it's like 3 hours of your day gone. So as soon as I get off of this, my email is going to be flooded again, even though it was at 0. So it's really a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, and then a lot of marketing and stuff like that as well to bring in new clients. So doing these podcasts, recording them, editing them, posting on social media, etc.
Are you using any tools or resources that kind of help manage your day or kind of make you more productive?
Yeah. So the biggest one I would say is our CRM system. We use Zoho CRM. That saves me a ton of time and helps me automate a ton of stuff in the business. Also keeps the whole entire team in track. So now that we have like salespeople and stuff like that and acquisitions people, it helps make sure everybody's on the same page and knows what they're talking about when they're talking about a certain property. So we have that system. It tracks all of our properties, all of our investors, all of our clients, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. What can you say that you're most grateful for?
Most grateful for my parents and how they raised me with the entrepreneurial spirit, I would say. Like a lot of parents, I think would have, especially with me growing up selling a bunch of stuff and always like looking for quick ways to make money and by selling things or flipping things or whatever, my parents were very behind me and supporting me, and sometimes even just funding my purchases so I can buy them, so I could sell it, so I could flip it, etc. So I'm grateful for that, because I think a lot of parents out there would have just been like, no, just go get a job. No, just go get a job. No, just get it. Instead, they were like, okay, cool. How much money do you need? Okay, cool. I'm going to get 50% of the profits. I'll fund your business, but I'm going to get 50% of everything you make. Okay, cool. All right, sign this agreement. Like, it was literally, they were, I had people think that this is my first business. No, I've made 150 businesses before this. And yeah, I could have sold one pair of sneakers, but to me, it was a business too, because I had to do the acquisitions or the buying the product or making the product. Then I had to do the marketing to sell it. And then I had to raise money from investors. So for me, I've done 150 businesses, but a lot of people just think that this is the first one.
Absolutely. So you said the book is already out. Is there any contact information you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. So the best place to reach out to me is probably on Instagram. You can go follow me, shoot me a DM at Martel Antoine. That's the best place to reach out to me. If you're interested in the turnkey rentals, it's martelturnkey.com. You can go there, book a phone call with one of us, and we'd be happy to talk to you as well.
Awesome. It was like I said, it was great talking to you, kind of learning about your business model. Like I said, all the successes, and even through all this pandemic, you guys are still, great. And like I said, it's set up really great how you guys set up your systems there. So
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you taking the time and sharing the information with us, and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dwayne.
All right, take care, my friend.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.